Welcome to the Limitless Living podcast with Fredricka Davis, where women create success, health, and meaning, all without burnout or overwhelm. Small shifts, real results, and limitless living. Hello, and welcome back to the Limitless Living podcast. I'm your host, Fredricka Davis, wellness expert, entrepreneur, and creator of the Reset Method. And today is Wellness Reset Thursday. This is where we talk about habits and shifts and strategies that help your mind, your body, your nervous system all reset so that you can feel your best again. If you're under 40 and you've started noticing changes in your body, such as sleep or mood, maybe your energy's changed or your skin has changed, or maybe you're already in your 40s and you're wondering where some of these symptoms are popping out from, what is causing them? Well, you may very well already be in what's known as perimenopause and not even realize it. Now, before you get mad at me, perimenopause is that premenopausal stage. You're not yet in it, but it's that winding up stage. So, this is where so many women they get confused because you don't really feel like you're in menopause as we think of it. You're still getting your period and you're still functioning and you're still doing everything kind of as you've always done, but somehow things might be changing. And most women chalk it up to either stress or kids or work or life or, kind of endless list of things. In reality, though, this is often the beginning of a hormonal shift, and this can last for years. Most women never realize that this literally can last for 4 to 15 years. I've actually seen it go longer than that. So, as we take a step back here and talk about what this actually is, perimenopause is the phase that you go through before you go into menopause. And again, it shocks people to know how long you can be into this, literally 4 to 15 years or so. And I did say years. So it can start in your late 30s. This is the average. Now, I've seen it start in the mid 30s or even earlier, depending on stress levels and lifestyle. Genetics can play a role in this, and then absolutely your overall health. Now, most women honestly have no idea that this is happening. So, what is really happening? Here's the simplest way to understand this. Progesterone is usually the first hormone that starts to drop. And I want you to think of this like it is a seesaw. Progesterone is the middle of that seesaw, helping stabilize each side. And each side of the seesaw, on one side you have estrogen, on the other side you have testosterone. So progesterone helps stabilize things and keep them equal. But when it starts to decline, your estrogen, your testosterone, everything, they go wonky and they go up and down and up and down and up and down. So estrogen, though, in particular, it doesn't just drop when this happens. It actually starts to fluctuate. So as it's going up and down and up and down, testosterone can absolutely be affected too. And now your body starts dealing with this level of instability, not just low hormones, but actual instability where you're up and you're down. And that instability is what creates all the symptoms. Now, these symptoms can be physical, they can be emotional, they can be mental, they can be subtle, or they can be screaming at you. You might notice that maybe you start to have irregular periods, or maybe your cycles, you're still regular, but your cycles become longer or shorter. I stayed regular my whole way through, but the length and the severity of my cycles changed. Anxiety. or irritability can come out of nowhere. And so can feeling weepy. You just want to cry at everything, or everything feels so personal. I had that. When that's really not normally the you that you would be to the world, all of a sudden you can feel like, my God, what is happening to me? And you might start waking up in the middle of the night, usually between 2 and 4 a.m., depending what time your bedtime is. Brain fog can come in, random fatigue. I started having that. And uh, weight gain, most of us associate weight gain with menopause, especially around that midsection. Lower tolerance for stress. So your patience level can go down and your tolerance just gets so much less. How about skin changes? I had a lot of skin changes like cystic acne during that period, and hair changes. You can start to get finer hair or even lose your hair a little bit and have it feel like it's thinning out. And one of the biggest ones that I hear all the time is that you're going through this and you can't quite put your finger on what's going on, but you just don't feel like yourself. So I hear this a lot in the office. Most women don't actually realize what's causing it. And this is often perimenopause. Now, I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose. Okay. So let me just throw that in there. And I'm not giving you any advice. It takes the place of medical advice, but I want you to understand this and be able to make your own decisions about different things. So, for me, I really started noticing things when I was around 36, 37 years old. What first hit me, I kind of noticed that my menstrual cycle changed. It got longer, heavier, and more PMSy than I had normally been used to. So I noticed that. So I knew I was kind of in that stage. But then what hit me, and it was the biggest thing for me personally, was my skin. I developed cystic acne. It was all along my jaw, which tends to be the hormonal line when you're getting cysts like that, all along both sides of my jaw. And it was painful. It was not pretty. And no matter what I did, I mean, I could not do anything to really take care of that until I fully realized what was going on and I got my hormones balanced again. Now, I got to tell you, given my background, I have a background decades in the wellness industry, the skincare industry, both training people, learning it, and experience and hands on with clients and everything. I was doing everything I knew to do, and it just didn't work because it really wasn't a surface issue until I realized and put the puzzle pieces together that this was internal and this was perimenopause. In fact, that was when I realized. And I chalked all of this up to stress. And normally I was caring for my mom who was in her elder years, and I was running a business and recovering from an incredible breakup. And I kind of thought, hey, that was it. I'm like maxed out. And then I started to realize, putting my puzzle pieces together, there was something else going on. So let me walk you through what I did and what I've seen work with other clients. Because this is where things really started to shift for me. This is where I see things shift for my clients. So, number one, now, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not prescribing this, but if you want to look at a holistic approach, this is one of the easiest things that you can start with. And it's not going to have side effects like a lot of pharmaceuticals, and it's going to be progesterone support. One of the first things I looked at was hormone support, specifically this progesterone. I used a natural progesterone cream. It's made out of wild yams and it helps your body regulate its and maintain its progesterone. Now, what I want to say clearly is that this can be incredibly supportive for some women and really make a difference in the symptoms. Not everybody. I would have to say that I see this work for 70 to 80% of the people who try it. It's not something that you just grab and guess with, though. So I really want you to approach it correctly if you're going to, and timing matters. So you have to do it twice a day for most people from what I have seen. what I've experienced. Now, everybody's body is different, so you have to listen to your body and gauge it yourself. Consistency is key. For me, I did one it's a cream, and it's one pump. That's it. Not a whole lathered body in it, but one pump. Morning and night consistently was what made the difference, and I saw the difference within about 3 weeks. Again, this can be different with every person. The quality of the product will matter as well. So I recommend getting it from a local health food store where you're likely to get better quality. And for me, this really helped bring things back into balance. It helped regulate my symptoms and it helped my skin. And interestingly enough, after years of trying to get pregnant and never being able to, once I supported my body properly, and all of a sudden my hormones were regulated, maybe the most regulated they've ever been, I don't know, I got pregnant. And that was absolutely the greatest gift of my life. So just know this, when your body is supported correctly, it responds. So I first diminished or relieved virtually most or all of my perimenopause symptoms, and then boom, I wound up pregnant. So then that was a whole host of other hormonal changes to go through and then come back, towards the menopause or perimenopause after all of that was said and done. But this works. I've seen it so many times really help a lot of people. And again, not everybody, but so many. So number 2, I really took a step back, and this is something a lot of people get wrong. They don't look at this part of it. And the nutrition, the blood sugar, the nourishment, this is a key piece to almost anything, honestly, in the body. But when it comes to balancing, keeping balanced, getting balanced your hormones, it really matters. And it's if you don't, if you can stop guessing and you can really take an honest look and monitor what you are doing in terms of water intake, nutrition, protein, things like that. Get a real solid, honest picture with yourself and then make some small tweaks. It'll make the world of difference for so many different things. So what I did was I reduced sugar and I reduced all the simple carbs. I did not eliminate carbs, but I chose better carbs and I strategically chose when to eat those carbs. So I made sure I had protein at every meal and I stopped skipping meals, which was something that was very easy for me to do in my schedule. When your blood sugar is unstable, it literally affects your energy, your mood, your sleep, your stress response, and then indirectly it affects your hormones. Now, think about this. If your hormones are already affecting your energy, your mood, your sleep, your stress response, it will if your nutrition, your blood sugar also do that, it's a double whammy. So when you improve this, you indirectly can improve everything else, including hormones and their effects or side effects on you. So number 3, I really looked at stress and recovery as well. This is something I've had to go back and forth with my throughout many, many different periods of time, but this was the first big time I started to make some big adjustments and saw the, rewards of doing so. I was looking at eliminating my stress first. I'm sure, you've all heard, "Oh, you just have to eliminate your stress, start or stress less." Well, that is absolutely unrealistic. If you're taking care of a business and you are going through the motions of everything in life, maybe you've got a heartache for a divorce or a breakup, or you're dealing with kids or raising kids, or you're taking care of parents, whatever. Stress does not go away. It's totally unrealistic. What you can do though is you can reduce the unnecessary stressors and you can improve, this is the key right here, improve how you recover from the stress. This is a lot of what I teach in all my different things because this is so important for everything. But I was running, literally running outside on the road 5 to 6 days a week and pushing hard. I'm not, you know, meant to be a runner. I don't know that I was ever meant to be a runner, but that's what I was doing. And I was pushing hard. I was training intensely and I had to stop overtraining. That was the beginning of having to stop overtraining. If you were somebody who grew up with the step classes and the aerobics of the 80s and 90s, you pushed hard, and the more you sweat, the harder you pushed and everything, which had a lot of rewards and payoffs. However, it can also be a stressor to your body. When you get into those mid 30s and beyond, you start noticing that you just don't recuperate or handle that stress quite as efficiently. So I built recovery into my day, stopped overtraining, built recovery into my day. And instead of numbing out, like numbing out in front of the TV or numbing out from the pain of pushing too hard and keeping on pushing through, I started pausing more long enough to actually regulate my system, my nervous system. Now, what else really mattered? I can give you some bonus things that really, really mattered. Sleep protection. I started protecting my sleep like it was a vault filled with gold bars, honestly. I created a consistent sleep window. Now, I reduced the late night stimulation, the phones, the TV screens, laptops, all of that. And even if you don't go to bed early, I mean, the best they say is, rise with the sun and go to bed with the sun setting. And, that's unrealistic for me. If you can't do that, regardless whatever your schedule looks like, when you can give your body a consistent level of sleep, 7 to 8 hours a night, and a consistent time that you go to sleep, it helps your body develop a rhythm and regulate itself. And it has that consistency creates safety in the nervous system. So that's really important. Another thing I did to help with my sleep, I told you I was strategic with my carbs. I focused on protein at dinner with a carb as a combination because that has been shown to support reducing your cortisol levels and increasing your sleep cycles. And that's what we really need. We need the sleep cycles. So the other thing I did was I reduced all the excessive pushing hard cardio. I kept cardio, but I reduced it. And I added strength training 2 to 3 times a week instead of just once or twice because muscle actually supports your metabolism. It supports insulin sensitivity and hormone balance. Now, it's less stressful, much less stressful on the body when it's done correctly. So you can still exercise, you can still get gains, you can still push through to some degree, but when you're doing it with more strategy, you don't have to have the side effects of it. Let's talk testing. I believe in getting baseline tests done with your doctor. A physical with complete blood work panel in your teens, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and beyond, because these are the numbers you can compare and see how you're changing as time goes. And believe me, you will change. I would ask for, a complete, thorough blood panel, everything they will give you meaning a full thyroid panel, your vitamin D, your iron and ferritin, glucose, and everything else in between that you can think of together. But those are my basics. I'm not. I think this would be a long podcast, extra long podcast if I went into all of it. But get those because vitamin D means a lot, regulates a lot. Thyroid being regulated is very important. Iron, ferritin, glucose, all of that. You get that. Now, what I would say is, and that I want you to understand, is that hormones fluctuate. So I'm a big fan at certain points of getting your testosterone, your progesterone, your estrogen levels checked. And if you have crazy symptoms, absolutely get them checked. But you have to remember that your hormones fluctuate, especially during perimenopause. So when you get your testing done, if it comes back within normal ranges, the same thing with your thyroid, if it comes back within normal ranges, it doesn't always mean you don't have a problem because it can fluctuate. And depending on when you had it tested, how you were feeling at that moment, the time of day, all these different things can change how they read. So I want you to learn to really listen to your body. Nobody knows your body better than you do. And I mean nobody. And don't let the doctors dismiss you. Don't there's your symptoms are real. Do not let them dismiss you. So here's what not to do. This is just as important as all the things I said do. Do not crash diet. This is not a time to crash diet. We all did that when we were younger. And boy, wouldn't I love a quick fix for something? Sure, I would. But when you do that, you create more stressors in the body. You create malnourishment situation or scenario in the body. You create a lack of nourishment in the body, and that all affects your hormones and your balance and everything. Don't over exercise. I know. I know people. I cannot convince them of this. They're still doing it, and they have the side effects for it, and they're still looking for the quick pill for it. When you overexercise, you overstress the body and the nervous system, and then that affects the hormones. Do not stack a bunch of random supplements. Take the progesterone if you want to do that and try that. You know, there are other things you can try to support you through the stage. However, if you're going to try something, I always suggest you try one thing at a time so you know what is and what is not working. Do not ignore your symptoms. Do not let anyone else, including the doctor, dismiss what you are experiencing. You know your body better than anyone. So, this week, I want you to keep it simple with a few takeaways here. I want you to start paying attention to the patterns. I want you to add protein to your meals. Set a consistent sleep time. Walk daily. Just a nice, gentle, easy walk. It's calming, it's movement. It helps to restore your nervous system. Reduce anything that is unnecessarily stressing your body. Here is a question I want you to sit with for the week. What changes have I noticed that I have been brushing off or explaining away, or maybe pushing through? I'll say that again. What changes have I noticed that I have been brushing off, pushing through, or explaining away? If today's episode resonated for you, and if you want some guidance on what to do next, or how to even figure out if you are in perimenopause, I created a simple perimenopause self check guide for you, and it's inside the Limitless Living group. It's in the files section. You can simply go into the group, join the group, and download it. It is there for you. So, if this helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And your reviews help more women find the show. So, let me close with this. If you're noticing any of these changes, don't ignore them. Don't wait for them to get worse. This phase does not mean that your body is failing you. It means your body is asking you to support it differently. And the sooner that you understand what your body is telling you and what it needs, the easier this whole transition becomes. This might be your reset moment. Join us Saturday for our next episode, which is Passion, Purpose, and Reinvention Saturday.